and welcome to the first part of my watercolour foundation course. My name's David Walker. I'm a professional artist. I live in North Wales. I'm at my studio now in North Wales, just looking out the window over the beautiful Welsh countryside. Now then, in this very first lesson I'm going to take it that you've ever used watercolours, I'm just going to run through what we're going to use. I've got a board to stick down my paper, and this is Bockingford paper. There's a link to suppliers if you want to have a look in the resources where I buy mine from. It's really good paper. I've used it for countless years, 30 odd years, and I love the paper. It's nice and heavy. It cockles a bit, but it also straightens out nicely. So this is A3 size. You need a clean saucer to mix in, something to put nice clean water in, and again in this lesson, this first lesson, we're just going to use the Hake brush and the flat brush, or similar. This Hake brush, this is my favourite brush. You'll see me use this in virtually every painting that I do. There's a full half-hour free lesson regarding the Hake. If you go right back to the end of the course, it's at the back there, and it's well worth a watch. So that's what we're going to use in this first demo. You need some masking tape to stick the paper down and a handful of kitchen towel. So we'll dive straight in and we stick it down. So I've learned not to speak when I rip that off there because of the noise. We use it to stick the paper down to the board to keep it to keep it stable basically. Kind of stretches the paper as you use it. So make it as square as you can. Now what you will find when you're doing watercolours is, like I just said, the paper will cockle, i.e. it'll start doing all sorts of undulations. But I want you to learn to work with that. It's part of the beauty of watercolour, you know, it'll make you some nice textures in the future. Alright, so that's stuck down nice and securely, and the first brush we're going to use is the Hake brush. Just run through the colours with you actually. We're going to use lemon yellow, alizarin crimson for reds, ultramarine for blue, and Payne's grey. Now these are all in tubes, as you can see. I always work with them in tubes because of the ease. And the first colour we're going to start with, you'll see why I use these now. Got a nice clean saucer, nice clean water. We've just put a little bit out on the plate, and that's ready now to mix with water. So we'll also put out some alizarin crimson, which is red. So inviting the look on the plate, ready to dive into. Some Payne's grey. And we'll just leave the yellow where it is for now. We've got three big bold colours on the plate, and then with the Hake brush, nice and wet, get a nice wash on the paper. This is your first watercolour wash, and it's a clear water wash basically. Just clean water, and then taking the tip of your Hake, just dab onto the paper. Clean your brush in the water, the same with the red. And then same with the Payne's grey. Dark as you like into, actually onto paper there that's dry here. So I'm just dropping it onto the dry paper and then it's mingling in the wet paper at this part. Now we'll put out our yellow. Lemon yellow, and I'm going to start using the flat brush. So nice clean water, and taking the lemon yellow, I'm just going to drop that along just let that start mingling. I'll take more at the bottom. Just pure lemon yellow going onto the dry paper, and then wet your brush and roll over every part of that. Now taking clean water, I'm just going to soften that edge. So I didn't use any more paint, just added it to that wash. And up in this area, just clean water. And get some really chunky red. And let that mix. And then in this area, if you take the red and mix that into the gaps there, you'll see that starts to produce nice purpley shades. And here, where the yellow and the red's mixing, that's going like nice orangey. So all I'm doing, we've got 4 colours, we only need 3, the 3 primary colours, which are yellow, red and blue. But we're just adding Payne's grey into the mix to add a bit of fun to it. That's clean water now I'm putting on that grey wash that I wasn't particularly happy with. Now I'm going to let some red bleed into that. So again you see a nice different shade of purple coming around here. That's because there's a fair bit of blue in the Payne's grey. Another thing that you can learn at this point, while this is all wet, we've got our kitchen paper. If there's any parts that you think aren't looking like you want them to, you can maybe just take out portions and drop clean water in there and let that start mingling again. So we've got everything kind of moving, so now I'm getting clean water into that gap, trying to encourage everything there to bleed together. And I'm going to actually add some blue into this area. See how that's turning green, and that's how I make all my greens, by using blue and various other shades on my palette. And never buy a green paint, never buy white paint either. You don't need to buy it, because you can mask out, which I'll teach you later on in the course. You can mask it out, or you can just leave it alone like we have in parts of this, you know, to get that dramatic white. So I'm quite happy now the way this is kind of developing, apart from around this area. So I'm going to try to wet it again. In fact, what I'm going to do is just turn off for 5 minutes, and I'm going to go and if you're doing this exercise, clean your brushes and your water. You can leave your dish like this, but get everything nice and clean, brushes and water, and then we'll crack on again. And just before we go, I've got a little puddle developing, so I'm just going to take that out and that out, and maybe that. Right, so I'll turn off and I'll be back in 5 minutes.